Welcome back to Variety Tech Today. It's time for a review of the Apple Vision Pro, but from a purely stereoscopic 3D perspective. Today was the first day in my area. I'm not sure if it was different elsewhere, but where anyone could schedule to come in and have a half hour testing out the Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Store was pretty busy. A police officer was there for security. Myself and another man were the first two scheduled that day testing it out at first thing in the morning. A couple negative impressions personally. Um, First off was the weight. It was heavier than I expected. Maybe that's just me, but I just can't imagine using that for hours on end or for daily tasks, things like that, which is what they're trying to do as spatial computing, they're calling it. So yeah, the weight was noticeable. I think this might be something if they can get it to a glasses-like stage, but for now that seems to be a problem. And also, I found it kind of harder than I expected to get a comfortable fit. And I never actually did get a truly comfortable fit, but I was focused more on getting getting it in focus and flush so that it looked good. Um, I eventually, to get it right, had to do it lower than I thought, and it is squished down on my face a little bit. And despite the guidance of two employees there, um, even afterwards, it did leave. In order to have a flush, in order to be flush around my face, uh, cut out light, be aligned in focus, I had a deep line on my forehead afterwards that stayed for a little bit. And one of the employees sounded like that was almost expected. Like he said, "Oh yeah, that'll go away in 20 minutes." So, and what's interesting is the Apple Vision Pro has a built-in 3D camera of its own, and when it starts up, you'll get like a live preview of your surroundings. So you can, while you're doing stuff with the interface, you can see the real world around you, but it's coming from those 3D cameras. So it's like an extension of your eyes, and that is kind of like surreal, but it's not something I haven't experienced before. Like with the KuCam Ego, which I'll be reviewing in a future episode, that has a viewfinder, and you can do a live 3D preview. Um, as well as I have two DSLR cameras with eye viewfinder, and can hold them sideways. I tried this just for fun, and was able to get one on each eye, get a live 3D preview. I mean, obviously we have eyes for that, but it's still like a surreal extension. And with the Apple Vision Pro, you almost might not even know it's a screen. You might think you're just looking through the cover of the headset, but you're seeing what the camera's seeing. I learned about the gesture controls, like how you tap to click and to swipe and other things, and I eventually got the hang of it pretty much. It was easy enough. It worked fairly well. When you've got Windows, for lack of a better term, this is coming from a Windows user, obviously. When you've got windows that are in different places in virtual space, obviously that will contradict with real life depth that's coming through the camera preview. It's not a huge deal, it's just something that's kind of interesting how you get those depth violations. But something you can do to further engulf yourself is to turn up. It has a knob you can turn up or down the seeing your surroundings. You can make it black or have a virtual backdrop. There's all different kinds. I also saw some samples that were actually taken with um, both the built-in stereo camera as well as from the iPhone 15 Pro, which also has a built-in camera. And the iPhone 15 has a smaller interaxial, so naturally that means less powerful depth and wider set lenses on the Vision Pro. Now, due to marketing jargon and speculation, like regarding the capture of depth information and how that's used, a lot of that is really just overthinking it. It's not relevant. This is just think of it as a stereoscopic device. It's not making a depth map from images and spatial videos and making something to look around. It's just a normal 2D photos, normal 3D videos and photos, one for each eye. That's it. It's not doing anything really special or unique that hasn't been done before. You can tell, like the footage from the iPhone 15 is 1080p. You notice it's noticeably lower resolution than the interface because the Vision Pro has a resolution of 3000 pixels. It's interesting. They do this special thing where they put a blur, like a whitish blur, where the edges fade out on around your spatial home movies. Um, I'm not crazy about that idea. I sort of like it seeing the whole thing that you recorded. So hopefully they'll have an option for that at some point. But honestly, it's also kind of interesting, and I it was a nice experience in and of itself, even if the edges were cut off or when you make it larger to fill the whole screen and you have that peripheral blur. Um, it really can trigger the sensation of being like a memory. And you can imagine for your everyday person who's not familiar with 3D home movies, to record their memories like that, watch it back like that on this headset, it'll be like a very vivid memory with depth perception, and that blur kind of adds to that. So that wasn't a bad thing. It was interesting. It would just be nice to have options to not have that blur and to view it in a more faithful representation. Now, as for 3D movies, how can you watch them? Well, you can rent or buy them. If you already bought them, own them in 2D through Apple's digital store, then they'll be freely upgraded to 3D. And also, some streaming services will offer some of their content this way, Disney Plus being the first to announce their list of titles. And of course, other studios also offering their titles as well. First thing I do want to point out is that there was a rumor going around, even spread by major outlets, that a 3D television show set in the MonsterVerse of like Godzilla, King Kong, that was going to be filmed in 3D for the Vision Pro. And just recently, the creators of that show came out and debunked that and said that was not the case. They filmed that with 4K digital cameras normally. That was misreporting. But you will be getting a lot of major 3D Hollywood movies, hundreds. A lot of ones that are already available on 3D Blu-ray, including ones that can't be gotten affordably, like from Amazon Japan, the more recent Marvel movies, and others that might be regarded as either exclusives or upgrades. For instance, in the exclusives, there's Transformers: Rise of the Beast, the most recent one, Elemental, Encanto, the live-action version of The Little Mermaid, Luca, Strange World, the Emoji Movie. And then as for upgrades, you've got ones that were released on in the past on streaming services or VR platforms, or in one case even on an old cable 3D channel, but in a lower quality, like half-width side-by-side. And now you'll be able to see these in full quality. And those upgrades would be Trolls, Raya and the Last Dragon, Mission Impossible Fallout, Monster Trucks, James Bond's No Time to Die, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Bumblebee. And Sing 2-ish. That was released on Blu-ray 3D, but quickly recalled because of error in the text that was rendered in the animation. It was only in one eye. So that Blu-ray is pretty rare, and it is streaming on Leia's 3D movie rental platform, but obviously you can only watch that in on their LoomPad 2. But what I wanted to see was Avatar: The Way of Water, so I watched the clip from that because that was unique for being not only 3D, but also true 4K and high frame rate. Unfortunately, as it stands, there doesn't seem to be a way to play back the true 48 frame per second high frame rate version in a way that would be compatible with current um, TVs and projectors. So how did it look? Well, first of all, the high frame rate worked as expected, perfectly like it's supposed to. Looked great. Now, as for the virtual size of the screen, this is something kind of bugs me that a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, it's like having a huge screen," and they even have these calculations or comparisons, like saying it's as if you're sitting in front of a so many 100-foot screen. I don't know, but they say these numbers that it's supposedly like sitting in front of a screen this size. That doesn't work that way for me. Maybe that's just me. I'm just telling you what I sense. It's like sitting in front of a TV, and it works fairly well for being a virtual TV, but it's not like being in front of a big screen. I just did not get that sensation. It's clear. It looks as good as it can look. But first of all, you're not getting true peripheral vision with this headset. Let's be clear about that. It there's there is a black ridge around the edge. It's only part of it is what you can actually see. It's a wide enough field of view, but it's not like to the ends of your vision, like real life would be. You you're you can't be fooled into not knowing you're in a headset if that was all you knew. You're obviously looking into something. So, and like I said earlier, the resolution of the Vision Pro is 3000 pixels. So if you want to see the whole screen and have and the default size that the video started playing at, the resolution at that size would roughly be 1080p or so. So the resolution would not be Ultra HD 3D. If you want to enlarge it, which you can, and have the height go up as far as you can get before it's blocked, then you can get Ultra HD 3D, and that did look amazing because you're seeing 4K 3D high frame rate, but you're not seeing the whole picture. It's cut off on the sides. You can look around, look both ways, see the whole picture, but um, your entire real peripheral is not being utilized, and it's kind of cut off. But I suppose for some people they might enjoy that. It's immersive, even if they aren't seeing it properly, seeing the whole thing. I That's just not for me though. It truly, for me, a projector is the only way to go. That's truly big. That's also immersive, and you're not shortchanged in any way. So, unfortunately, uh, a real solution would be to have this content playable on a projector. And the sad thing is, it's technically very easily possible. So, it's nice for what it is, but it's apples and oranges. I would not compare it to a home theater replacement. And also due to the comfort factors I mentioned earlier, I just can't imagine wanting to use that for hours at a time, like leaving marks on your face, messing up your hair, not being able to have a communal experience with someone. But if you've got nobody in your life and nowhere to go, this can be a great home theater replacement for you. Now, two of the best experiences that I did get out of this were the VR 180, is what a term they were using some years back. That's effectively what it was. Um, One would be the backgrounds, the backdrops, the environments that you can do your computing or watching in. Um, One I saw was a real one taken outdoors, uh, the great outdoors, the mountains, the trees. I looked down. You can even see your hands. It cuts around them, so you're kind of like in the picture. I saw the rock that I was basically sitting on. And these VR 180 images and videos were taken with a special camera um, that filmed in 8K, 60 frames a second. So this is much clearer. It fully utilizes the resolution of the Vision Pro. It looks amazing. You can look around in different directions. And the videos too. Yes, there's exclusive video content, a series called Apple Immersive. It's more of a section, really, a section with series in it, like one with Alicia Keys playing with her band, mountains, being with someone walking on a tightrope. Now that was like thrilling stuff. That was put you in the action right there. If they could ever improve the peripheral to take that away, that would be jaw-droppingly amazing. But as it was, that was the close enough to it. That was arguably the best part of the whole experience. And even close-up experiences like a video of rhinoceroses coming up to you, right up to you, and even being in another part of the world, watching children play ball. It was like took you there. So yeah, this is a very interesting experience, a lot of fun. So prices may come down. They may rework this, improve things, lower the price as well, if enough people are interested. So we didn't speak much about the iPhone 15 Pro and that spatial video capabilities, but we're going to do that in another video. You know why? Because I have one. Yes. I switched to iPhone. Just for that reason. It's bound to happen. I've been an Android guy for over a decade. Arguably, I still am. I still think it's the superior operating system. Far more you can do with it. But you know what? Apple's good too. I'll give them that. Apple's good too. So we're going to have a much more in-depth review of the photo and video 3D capabilities. I'm not going to call it spatial. Let's call it 3D. That's what it is. 3D capabilities of the iPhone 15 Pro. And yes, we'll have field tests and tutorials. And speaking of that, somewhat related, in the last episode, I threw a little trivia out there. If anybody guessed, there'd be a giveaway. Did you notice a new way that I'm making this series? Something that I changed. And Bryce Barnett from PTN Studios, he made the correct guess. Yes, I'm filming in a higher frame rate. So watch your mailbox, you'll be getting a surprise soon. For a little while before that, I had been filming in 24p, Full HD, which is basically the Blu-ray 3D standard. But I've always been a proponent of higher frame rates. Not everybody likes it. I really do feel, though, it's better. 24 is just arbitrary and outdated. So why not switch to higher frame rate? This camera doesn't do 60, unfortunately. It does 30 frames a second, but it is higher. It looks better. And more importantly, the way I'm mastering the episodes is to be inclusive of different video formats going forward, especially for like camera reviews, so I can show camera footage in a more proper fashion without downgrading it in any way. Because lots of 3D cameras don't record in 24 frames a second, so why make it look choppier just to be part of the review? And also, why cut out half the resolution? Because I had been rendering at 1080 half side by side. So now I'm rendering at 4K half side by side at 60 frames a second. And some displays, like my Samsung TV, accept that signal and can play it back at full resolution. This camera doesn't record in 4K, but because side by side 4K is twice the resolution of 1080p, you won't lose any information there. And besides whatever is lost due to YouTube's compression, you'll be able to more faithfully see camera tests, starting with the iPhone 15 Pro. So that'll be coming up. Subscribe and see you next time.